Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us on this Gradcracker webinar with DNV. Happy New Year! And as this is our first webinar of 2026, I would like to introduce you to the members of the panel, and that's the Gradcracker members. So, my name's Carla, a director at Gradcracker. I have worked with Steve and DNV for a number of years. Forever is that the term I would like to use. And DNV advertise their degree apprenticeships, placements, graduate opportunities on Gradcracker, which will be going live very soon. Jess?
Hi everyone, my name is Jess. I am Marketing Director here at Gradcracker. Hopefully some of you will recognise me from the numerous university events that I run and encouraging students like yourself to use Gradcracker to discover the amazing employers that advertise with us. So yeah, it's good to be back for
It is good to be
2026.
back. I can't believe we're back. Lovely, thank you, Jessica. So today we will talk to you all about DNV in more detail. So we will talk about who they are, what they do, and also what opportunities you, our STEM students, can apply for this year on Gradcracker. So as you'll remember, if you've watched these webinars before, Steve has been with us. I think this is our fourth webinar, Steve.
Yeah.
So he'll give an introduction, a brief introduction to DNV, who they are and the opportunities that they've got. So let's start with you. Steve, give every
Right.
introduction to you. Hello, sweetheart. Are you
Hello.
okay?
I am, thank you.
Good. Come on,
So
who are
what
you?
was the sorry, what was the question?
Who
We're off to a
are
blinded start. Yeah, go on.
you? Just tell everybody who you are, bit of background to your role.
Okay, perfect. So I'm Steve Perks. I head up recruitment for our energy business here in UK and Ireland at DNV. So that includes recruiting all of the roles from our entrant level through to our attracting world leading technical experts right across our organisation here in our region. So specifically within that, I also have responsibility for all of our early careers recruitment. So our graduates placements, summer interns, apprenticeships and so forth. So my main role is probably working with a lot of our individual line managers in our business, in our technical departments, and coming up with effective recruitment strategies to attract and then retain the best possible talent for our organisation. And we focus very much on not just the basic skills people have and technical expertise, but also and really critically the behaviours that will equip them not just for now, but also for the future to help them grow and thrive in our company.
Lovely. And the exceptional talent are part of this webinar today. So we'll speak to all the grads a little bit more in a little bit more detail later on, but we'll talk about networking groups that they've been involved in, projects, training and development, and their career journey so far and their future plans as well. We'll end the webinar again by speaking to Steve, and Steve will talk about the recruitment process, what that looks like this year, and giving you an idea of if you do decide to apply to their opportunities, how you can be successful. So Steve, back to you. Could you describe DNV in 60 seconds, please?
You did keep the 60 seconds in there.
Absolutely. Clock's
Yeah, well,
ticking.
the
Form is
answer's
passed. Go.
no. I can never do it. We discussed this. I can never do it. But
We did.
so I think the best way I can talk about it is that we've been around for about 160 years, and we do a huge variety of different but very specialist things. So boil it down to 1 minute is hard enough for me, let alone in. So what I do want to do is just try to distinguish a little bit between DNV as a whole, where we've got about 16,000 people globally across a number of what we call business areas. So our maritime business, inspection, business assurance, and so on. And also the energy systems business that I'm responsible for from a recruitment perspective here in UK and Ireland. So energy systems, which is a part which I look after, it's not exactly the sexiest of titles. It's a bit of a weird title, but it does actually say what we do. So we look after organizations' ways of dealing with energy. And so we've got globally around 6,000 experts now, of which about 900 of those are based here in UK and Ireland. Despite that, we're very aware that we're not a brand that some people may have heard of or be overly familiar with, but we are the global leaders in what we do. So we combine really real technical expertise across multiple engineering and technical disciplines with digital solutions to help the energy sector protect life, property, and ultimately the environment.
Mhm.
So, what we're at the heart of us is how we enable the energy industry and governments accelerate the energy transition. So I'm sure a lot of the people watching will have seen lots of stuff on news articles and stuff about how we move from, some of the oil and gas and fossil fuels to more greener technologies, solar storage, wind, etc., etc. So we actually advise organizations that do that. So we cover the full energy spectrum. We support assets and operators across oil and gas through electrification and power grids, and also into areas such as renewables and such as the ones I mentioned, wind, solar storage. So we work with some of the most recognizable energy brands that people would probably be quite familiar with, as well as governments and other industry bodies as well, to help advise them on the best ways to make that transition as quick as possible and as safely as possible. We also have a full-scale explosion site, which I think Pippa will probably talk a little bit more about, up at in Cumbria, where we do some really industry-defining research and testing on behalf of the energy industry, looking at potential safety implications of some of these new technologies such as hydrogen and carbon capture and storage. So that's about as good as I can do in probably about 3 minutes. But I think you'll probably get a lot more of a feel about the specifics of what we do from hearing from some of the colleagues on this call, because they're the ones who deliver some of the projects that we deliver on behalf of the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I said at the beginning of the webinar, we've worked together for quite a while now, and you are involved in some fascinating projects which we'll learn about. So thank you very much for that, Steve. That introduction was brilliant, and it was 3 minutes, so well timed. Just 2 minutes over. So let's not now talk about the misconceptions about DNV. So you particularly wanted me to ask you this question as part of the webinar. So what kind of misconceptions would you like to cover?
Well, I think it's a main one, I would say, which is the
Yeah.
fact we are ultimately a consultancy and advisory organization.
Hmm.
So we absolutely sit at the heart of the energy industry, but we don't own any assets. We don't, have, gas platforms, oil rigs, wind farms, and so forth. We advise organizations that do.
Yeah.
And I think that consultancy piece is, I think, really important for people to understand when they make their choices about would they want to work for a consultancy or more of an operator or developer and so forth. Because I think there's huge benefits in being part of a consultancy organization. You'll probably hear about the range of different projects that our people get to work on. It isn't just the projects, it's
Yeah.
the environments, it's the client base, it's the types of assets. Whereas if you only work for a specific organization, you might only get options to work on their projects. Whereas in ours, we work on a whole variety of different clients right across the globe, across different types of energy type of assets, from, as I said, some of the traditional oil and gas ones through to renewables ones. So I think that really helps with people being able to build up a much broader and wider range of experience, knowledge, and skills to then aid their development.
Perfect. Lovely. Thank you, Steve. And last question for you now, if I can. So when you do decide to open your opportunities, which are going to be in the next few weeks, I'm hoping, tell me or tell the students who are watching what is on offer this year.
No, sure. We have already opened some. You always have a go at me about this. But we've got, I think we will have, moving forwards, a range of early careers opportunities right across the departments that you'll hear from today.
Yeah.
And that's including graduates and a mixture of summer and full year placements as well. Um, we also hopefully will have some degree apprenticeship roles. A lot of our apprenticeship opportunities have historically been up at our Spade Adam site in Cumbria, which Pippa's part of.
Yeah.
But we are also hoping to have some more of those across other parts of our business, if not this year, certainly next year as well.
Mhm.
So as I said, we've already advertised a few graduate and placement roles over the last couple of months. We've got a couple of assessment centres lined up for the next fortnight, but we will have some of those as well. And I think the other thing for people to consider is that we do have quite a broad range of degree disciplines that we really value in our organisation. You'll see
Yeah.
some of them on this call, but there's also other ones from some of our other teams as well. So, but most of them do tend to be STEM disciplines that we really focus on because of the nature of the work that we do.
Yeah, absolutely. So don't forget after this webinar to go and follow DNV on Gradcracker, and then you'll get alerted by email and push notification when they do open their opportunities, which Steve said will be in the next couple of weeks. So there's lots and lots for you to look forward to when the opportunities do open. And again, like Steve mentioned, they are open to lots of different STEM backgrounds, so there should be something for everybody. So thank you for now, Steve. I'll come back to you later on, and
Thank
let's
you.
meet the rest of the panel. So really excited today to be joined by Charla and Emma, who recently joined DNV about 6 months ago now. We've got Kelly and Lizzie, again, pretty new to DNV, but they also did a placement with the company. And Tim is one of the things that we all, the oldie amongst us, Tim. Tim is in his second year, did a placement. And finally, Pippa, like Steve was mentioning, Pippa was part of the Gradcracker webinar last year and is a degree apprentice based in Cumbria, Spade Adam. So for now, that's me done, I think.
It
Jess,
is.
I'm
Thank you,
going to hand
Carla.
over to
Thank you,
you.
Steve. I
Leave the
keep smiling
baton.
at you, Pippa, because I'm looking forward to hearing about your journey. So,
And
yeah, for the audience, like Carla just mentioned, Pippa was on our webinar last year. So, I'm looking forward to finding out what she's been doing over the last year and the cool things you've been up to up at Spade Adam. But first, I'm going to start with Charlotte. So, Charlotte, I'm going to come to you. And if you could tell us a bit about yourself. So, for example, things like where you went to university, what did you study, and maybe why, and also what made you apply to DMV?
Course. Thank you, Jessica. So I went to the University of Manchester and I completed my MEng in civil engineering there. The
Mhm.
initial reason I wanted to study civil engineering was because I really cared about improving cities' resilience to climate change, actually. So, not
okay.
necessarily what DMV does or what my role is right now, but then within my degree, I did a couple of modules based on renewable energy, and we even had a project where we had to do the design of a offshore wind turbine. And I
Okay.
found that like more challenging than anything I'd done in my degree. So it really interested me. And
Yeah.
while we were doing the design, one of the design codes that we were using was actually the DMV codes. So when I was on Gradcracker one day, I was scrolling and I saw DMV's basically job thing, and it
Mhm.
was for offshore wind. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, actually, I would really like to apply to this.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's why I applied.
And you've never looked back since.
Basically.
So yeah, lots of things to ask you there. So would you say, and this is something I'm going to kind of hone in a bit on this because I was actually talking to my niece last night about the next steps in her career and what she wants to do, saying to her about, finding your passion, find your interest, what kind of resonates with you. So obviously DMV did that for you, with the courses, the modules. How did you find the confidence then to go on to apply when you did see that role advertised on Gradcracker? Was it like that instant, yes, this is for me, or and you felt confident? What did you do to think, how can I really make my application stand out with that passion and interest I already have?
Honestly, like I said, because I use DMV's codes, I kind of like research more into the company.
Yeah.
Because I always like to, know more. And Gradcracker is a great website for that because obviously you put the background, what values DMV has, but then it's always nice, in my opinion, to do like a bit of your own research.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
think LinkedIn is like great social media. You can find more up-to-date things that have happened and maybe people as well. I did message a couple people in on LinkedIn just to ask, how is it going? And I think a great tip, well, I discovered this when I was searching DMV, but the Energy Transition Outlook report that's yearly, that's a
Mhm.
great thing. I think number one, it showed me how DMV is actually stands behind its values. And
Mm.
also, I think it was just great to read more about topics I was interested in. And yeah, I think those were
Yeah.
why.
I think it'd be worth adding there just before you mention we've
Mm.
got that on your hub, haven't we, Steve?
Yeah, it is on
Yes.
there.
That's something that's on there. Steve was keen to put that on there. So if you wanted to have a look at that, like Charlotte just mentioned, go to the hub after the webinar and have a quick look.
Good
Sorry,
look at
Jess.
that. Yeah, no, that's great. Great bit of advice there because, yeah, that's what it's all about. Steve wants to receive well-tailored, targeted applications. So, yeah, make sure you do your research. So, Charlotte, sticking with you, tell us a bit about your current role then at DNV. What is life looking like for you now, and what have you been up to?
Of course. So I'm under renewables. I'm in turbine engineering, which just to give everyone like a bit of understanding into what that is, it's in wind, but
Yep.
specifically if you were on wind projects, for example, you'd be looking at a whole wind farm.
Hmm.
Whereas my team and we more look at like the individual turbine and the risks for an individual turbine. For example, some projects that I've been working on, I've looked at offshore wind projects, but I
Hmm.
look at the certain risks that come with the foundation design for
Okay.
that project, for example, because I'm
Yeah.
civil based.
Yeah.
So things like that. There's also kind of a bit of a kick up in wind in terms of owners engineering work, which is basically the owner of an asset asks us to monitor it and see if the contractors are doing the correct work, and that kind of work is kind of kicking up. That's more in solar, but
Yeah.
basically because
Okay.
I have a civil background, and but just also in general with DMV, the walls are quite flexible, so you do get to pick up or experience different kinds of projects that even if you're in, for example, I'm in turbine, but
Hmm.
there's three other kind of sections within renewables, and we sit together in the office, and if you have availability, people are always willing to give you work
Yeah.
or like put you to work or give you more information if you are interested in something, which is kind of an amazing part of DMV, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And what's amazing as well, you can fall back on those skills that you maybe don't use every day, but because you've done your degree in civil engineering, again, you'll have lots of skills there that you can then apply to lots of the different disciplines and business areas, which is absolutely brilliant. And I'm assuming you're going to say this, Charlotte, but you feel as though you've got that support? If you're not too sure about something, if you maybe did want to have a bit of an experience in solar, you can be supported throughout that process if you wanted to move around.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Like when you first come, I had a buddy,
Yep.
and that was like the best for asking, your first week in anywhere, and you just think you have stupid questions and you don't really necessarily want to maybe tell it or ask it to someone that's like very much above you. So it usually is another grad or like someone closer to your age sometimes.
Yeah.
So you can ask that, and then everyone has and is always nice. Like everyone's very open for you to ask questions as long as you are willing to ask that question and take that first step and maybe just reach out. That could be a message in Teams, that could just be like saying hi when they're at their desk.
Mhm.
Everyone's really willing to help you.
Oh, perfect. Great stuff and great start. So thank you so much for that. Emma, I'm going to come to you next, if that's okay. Again, similar kind of question. So a bit of an introduction to yourself. So where you went to university, what you studied, and maybe why.
Yeah, so I went to Durham University. I did my master's in chemistry. Um, I was always quite interested in the industrial side of chemistry, even though I was quite lab-based throughout my degree. And I wanted to go to Durham because they did their master's course. You could do it in industry. So I did my master's at a company. Um, and I think that kind of showed me how much I wanted to go into an industry-based quite chemical engineering role, which is why I
Mhm.
applied to DNV. I think I wanted to switch from just doing chemistry to looking more at sites, which is
Yeah.
what I do now. So it's nice.
Yeah, it sounds great. And suppose a bit like what Steve mentioned earlier, you kind of get the benefit of, being with a consultancy like DMV. You get that exposure, don't you, across lots of different projects. Was that a bit of a motivator for you to apply to DMV? Is that maybe one of the reasons why it attracted you as well?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think with all the different projects as well, I think they want people with different skill sets.
Yeah.
And especially in my team, everyone isn't just engineering based. We have lots of different scientists, like there's physicists and there's mathematicians. But then there are people that did like mechanical engineering, chemical engineering. And I think because of the amount of projects that we have within our department, you can put your different skills in and you don't need to know everything because everyone knows a bit of something.
Yeah.
So it's really good for learning and trying to get into new things.
So would you say then within your team member that you work with maybe normally on a daily basis, are you all from kind of different STEM disciplines
Yeah,
traditionally?
Yeah,
Are you?
everyone's mostly STEM, but we are all different scientists,
Yeah.
engineers.
Which is great because you've got that diversion of thought and, again, being creative in different ways and got different skill sets. Then you're learning as well, which is amazing. So, yeah, Emma, tell us a little bit about your role then and what you've been up to since you joined DNV.
Yeah, so I'm a technical safety consultant. So at the minute, I'm mainly working on onshore natural gas sites. So this might be like LNG processing sites. And as well as this, I've done some work on distribution lines. So mainly the work I do is with modeling the sites. And then we can get things like hazard distances and the risk to the population around. And then we consult to companies to say if what they've got is safe and if they need to make any changes. And we work within standards. So it's really interesting.
Yeah, I bet. And how do you find that pressure of, making sure that, these sites and these ideas that you're coming up with is safe? Do you find that you've got quite a lot of responsibility on your head?
I mean, it's really interesting, but I think it's not too daunting because we work with the people that made the software. And because everyone, they're so clever and you have trust in what was made and like what the company like sends out to clients. And as well, you get to see all the methodology behind it and it's backed up from testing that's done at Spade Adam. So you have confidence in what you are sending out to clients and if things are safe. So yeah, it's really interesting.
And do you get to travel much, Emma, when you go? Do you get to go
No,
to
but
sites?
I
No.
do work on different sites around the world. So it's really
Oh,
interesting
wow. Okay.
if I'm looking,
That's cool to know.
like for example, something we have to do is know the populations around. So some days I'll be on Google Maps and I'm seeing around different places I've never been before. And to me, that's interesting. So
Yeah,
I know my
love
way
that.
around New York.
Great. Well, you need to book that on your bucket list. You need to get it booked. Go and have a look. You'll be a good tour guide. You'll know where all the sites are. Perfect. Well, thank you, Emma, for that introduction. And Kelly, I'm going to come to you next. Again, similar questions. If you could introduce yourself, that would be amazing.
So I'm Kelly. I'm an ecologist currently on DNV's ecology team, which is under markets and risk. I studied environmental biology in UCD for 4 years in Dublin. Environmental biology is just a fancy way to say ecology. I studied plants, animals, nature, the whole shebang. And then in my third year, I really wanted to get an internship with a place that did a lot of field work because college, and at least this is my experience in UCD, is really good for giving you like a solid foundation in the theory of how ecology works and laboratory skills, how to analyze your data. It is not as effective as giving you field work and actually seeing how you do in the ecological sector in like a work environment. So I did an internship with DNV between the summer of my third year and fourth year. And for that entire summer, all I basically did was bat surveys. I had my little bat detector. I was like, the thing about ecology is it's dependent on the seasons. Your work changes as the years go by and how the weather is and like if it's winter or summer. So I was essentially that entire summer, me and my partner, we were in a field holding our bat detector. We're staring at the building and like, is a bat going to come out of this building? And I loved it. But it's definitely not for everyone. And that's why I would definitely recommend anyone who's serious about doing ecology to definitely get a placement somewhere, hopefully with DNV. To find out what aspects of the job you really like. Do you prefer like sitting at the desk doing bat data sound analysis, or do you prefer to be out in the field gathering the data? And that's what I really, really liked. So then after I graduated, I came back and now I'm here as a graduate ecologist. So it's been good so far. Yeah.
And sorry, Kelly, how long have you been back at DNV for now?
Since July. So my probation period ended today.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Good. You're stuck with Steve now. You're stuck with this lot. You're not going anywhere.
Prize. That's the prize.
I'm here.
That is the prize.
Oh, Kelly, that is absolutely incredible. So go back a step. So you've done your amazing internship. You did all your bat surveys. I'm assuming by your enthusiasm, obviously it was a no-brainer to come back. But something I do like to ask, because for any students that are watching, considering doing an internship or year-long placement, whatever, getting any kind of work experience, how did that help you in your final year of study?
I had more fieldwork experience than pretty much anyone else in my year. Like some some of my friends had like more laboratory experience. It depends for ecology. There are so many different places to specialize and go into. I knew which optional modules I'd enjoy, like those dealing with bit of technical reports like AA screenings and stuff, which are like legal reports to help people show they're not going to accidentally damage any protected species when they like build their residential development. I knew that module I'd be very good at and sort of which modules I'd be less interested in. So it really helped me sort of concretely do my final year, and also helped me like with my thesis, because I kind of knew more how these things are actually implemented, like mitigation measures are implemented in reality on these projects.
Yeah, definitely. And then how did it help you when you were either making the decision to go back to DNV? I'm assuming it was just an obvious step. This is what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then how did it help you once you'd started back? Did you feel like you just...
It meant I could hit the ground running.
Yeah.
I came back in July, which bat season again, so I was straight back into it. But it also meant I got to go on sort of different surveys. So now I've done plant surveys, bat surveys, badger surveys, otter surveys. It really helped me sort of, since I had that foundation. Bat surveys are easy. That's a secret. Like, if you know anything about ecology, you can kind of do a bat survey. Other stuff like plants and birds, you really need to like be observant and careful, because there's so many more species. But it really meant I could do more complicated reports, work on more complicated sites, and really sort of expand my knowledge in those areas.
Kelly, you've absolutely made my day today. I just love your energy. And I love you all, by the way. You're all absolutely amazing. But Kelly, you've just put a massive smile on my face. So thank you so much for that enthusiasm. Yeah, and also, so tell us a bit about what life is like for you now. So obviously you started back in July. What have you been up to? What's life looking like? Are you still out there looking after the bats, or are you doing different things?
No, it's winter. They're hibernating. They're
asleep. Of course. Sorry.
Come on, Jess.
I asked the same question, Jess. When I met you a couple of months ago, Kelly, I was asking about the bats.
Yeah, you only do bat surveys, well, normal bat surveys during the summer. A really good project I've been working on right now is for a client that has a few sites around Ireland that are looking at biodiversity enhancements. So essentially to make those sites better for nature, which is really fun to work on, because usually it's like one of kind of the downsides of being an ecological consultant. You're kind of making sure the client doesn't accidentally harm protected species, which you're kind of trying to keep at base level. But with this client, we're actually trying to improve the sites for protected species. So it's a lot more fun. I got to go to the sites and sort of survey everything. It was the first time I'd ever been able to go to sites like by myself, because I built up that skill and knowledge.
Yeah, well done.
Sort of bring it all together. And I ended up finding badger tracks on a stream. So that was cool.
Wow.
Kelly, you sound like you've got like the best job ever.
I love it.
Don't you say? Like, you can go off out on your own, go and do your thing, go on an adventure.
If I'm on a bird survey and like I see a cool bird, like I saw a jack snipe on one site I went to, which I'd never seen before, I was a bit like, this is my job. It feels like cheating.
You're getting paid to do that. How cool is that?
But yeah, so that was a really fun project though, because you're actually looking for ways to improve. It isn't finished yet. We've sent off the final report to see sort of where they're doing well, where they could improve, and what things can be feasibly implemented. But yeah, I'm excited to see how it turns out.
Oh, Kelly, Steve, can we make sure Kelly's on next year's one as well? I want to know what's going on in the next year.
You've been booked, Kelly. You've been booked.
Yeah, you're booked.
Looking forward to it.
You're all booked and you all come back. So yeah, Kelly, thank you so much for that amazing introduction. Lizzie, I'm going to come to you next. Are you all okay? You're here.
Yes,
You're
okay.
No, don't leave me. Keep saying to don't leave me. So yeah, similar kind of questions, my love, if that's okay. Tell us a bit about where you went to university, what you studied, why.
So right now I'm in a role very similar to Emma, but I'm based in London. So I went to the University of Manchester and I studied chemical engineering. And it was during my degree, I was doing the process safety module, that I got introduced to DNV through events at university, and like they have a really good relationship with Manchester. And so that's why I wanted to apply to DNV, because the work that the team were doing was very similar to what interested me in my degree. So of course it's like I wanted the experience. So I did a summer placement in Stockport in risk advisory team. So the same team I'm in now. I'm technical safety consultant in risk advisory.
Brilliant.
And the placement was brilliant, because it's one summer where you're exposed to lots of different work and you get to find out what interests you. And yeah, I obviously really enjoyed it, because I then applied for the graduate role.
Fantastic, you got the job. Doing a summer placement, I think so, and again, any student that's thinking about getting any kind of work experience, it's so worth it, isn't it? Did you
Yeah.
feel as though you got enough in that summer? What did you do? How did you, kind of transition into that experience? And how did DNV look after you?
So it's 12 weeks, which is actually quite long, 3 months internship. And the team are really good because they know that 3 months isn't very long in terms of the projects, because most projects last months. So they made sure to get me on lots of different projects and expose me to lots of different types of work. And any workshop that was going on, I joined in on. So even though I didn't have a active role in a few HAZOPs, I was able to do two very different HAZOP studies. And they took me through all the different types of reports that they were writing. And it was just a really, really nice overview. And everyone was really eager to teach me, which is amazing. And it's then transferred into my graduate role now.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Lizzie, just one more thing on the placement. And I'm sorry this isn't scripted. I'm going to go off piece here, you know what I mean? If you had to give advice, any like a top tip or anything to anyone considering doing a placement at DNV or, sorry, Steve, anywhere else, what would your top tip be?
Talk to everyone in the office. Because there's now hybrid working where you're in and remote. But honestly, go into the office every day and just talk to everyone. Because I'd say I'm an intern, I'm only here for 3 months, and they'd immediately go, oh, you can do this with me, you can work on this, or I'll take you here. So that's my main advice. Just you can't be shy. Everyone's there to help you.
Love that. Perfect. And obviously that worked for you because you're back, you're here. So tell us what life is like for you now as a graduate. And I'm assuming doing that placement obviously helped to kind of settle in and get sorted. You say you're in the exactly same team? So you are in Stockport?
No, I changed teams. I'm still in risk advisory, but I'm now based in London.
Okay.
The work is only slightly different. I was exposed to QRAs in my internship, and that is basically what I do now, quantitative risk assessments. So I'm mainly doing natural gas, carbon dioxide pipelines. I've joined many different projects, and the internship really helped me. But the team didn't expect me to know how to do everything. They're still teaching me everything. Everyone's so great. The team's so great. So yeah.
And how did you find the move? Did you know you wanted to go to London?
Yeah, I'm from London.
Oh,
so
you're from London. Right, okay, fab.
when I in Stockport, I was able to ask around, and I found that I could just apply for the London office, and the work was what I wanted to do. So it all worked out perfectly, honestly.
All aligned. Perfect. Lizzie, love it. Well done you. And yeah, well done for, like I said, embracing it, putting yourself sometimes in those really awkward positions where you don't want to ask, but it is so much beneficial when you do. So yeah, Lizzie, thank you so much for that. I'm conscious for time already. Can we have another half an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours? Tim, I'm going to come to you next, if that's okay. Question. I'm going to ask you, obviously, what's your name, where you came from, what did you study, why? None of you guys know. What's that dating show we used to watch when we were
Blind Date.
Blind Date. We're too old now. You were all blank faces. They won't remember that, will they?
I don't
Cilla
remember.
Black. What's your name?
Yes, you do remember that. You're older than I am.
Sorry, Tim. Go.
No problem. Well, yes, I'm Tim. I went to the University of Sheffield and I studied general engineering for 2 years, later specializing in energy and sustainability engineering. I chose that course, to be honest, when I came out of school. I wasn't entirely sure what area of engineering I wanted to go into, but I thought it was a great field that aligned with my interests. And Sheffield had sort of 13 different specialisms at the time, so it gave me time to decide. And also I found that breadth of knowledge really useful since. When it came to DNV, I think I was really keen on working in the renewables industry, and this post came up as a student engineer that would allow me to work across the wind, solar, and energy storage industries all in one placement. And yeah, I did 11 months, got some experience across all of those. Everyone was really, really supportive of getting me in on all sorts of projects, and really became quite embedded in multiple teams, which has been really useful since coming back.
I bet.
And I suppose a bit about my current role. I'm still on the graduate scheme, and I've had the opportunity to move around further within DNV on that. So I've currently started, this is my 4th day in Spade Adam. I'm now a project engineer here, so working with the explosion testing mainly that we're doing here, and just getting started. But I spent 6 months in the digital energy team, which is looking at advisory services on digital solutions around the energy industry, and also spent 10 months before that as a graduate in the energy storage team.
Amazing.
So,
Okay, so when you say you're moving around, do
yeah.
you physically relocate? So now you're up in Spade Adam. Have you been moving physically?
I have, if it has been completely up to me. I did 2 placements in London. That's where I was based, and then I really personally enjoyed the practical side of things associated with my previous roles, and I really wanted to get some hands-on engineering experience, some engineering design experience, and that's why I've decided to move to Spade Adam, because they have all of that here in absolute abundance.
Okay, so try not to go steal Pippa's limelight too much.
Yes, okay.
But what is Spade Adam like? Is it as exciting as I think it is in my mind and looking at the hub?
It is. It's really cool. Honestly, the last 4 days, everyone's showing me around all of their projects, and there is so much going on. And
have you
all
seen
of the videos
any
of their previous experiments?
Yeah, have you seen an experiment yet? When's that happening this year?
I think they've got a big one going off next week. There's been a few small ones this week. Yeah.
Pippa, are you involved in that?
Sorry, I couldn't unmute for a second. I don't think I am involved in that one, but I was involved with quite a few right before Tim joined. So Tim won't have seen those, but yeah, I'll probably be involved in some more next month.
Am I allowed to ask? Say no if not. I don't want to get anyone into trouble, but what is it that you're experimenting on next week? What is it? Am I allowed to ask?
I'm actually not sure because I'm not on that project.
No, I think there are
Top
some
secret
pipeline explosion tests going on.
Interesting.
So mainly, I'm not 100% sure whether next week is a CO2 rupture or a hydrogen rupture, but either way, it'll probably be quite loud.
What happens when it is testing day? I'm assuming everyone knows you're all on.
There's an awful lot of health and safety procedures, of course, in place to make sure that people are not in the radius of fragments going places and gases going places. So it depends on the size of the test. Some of them happen during the day, some of them happen in the evenings once the site's cleared.
Yeah. And sorry, Tim, how long are you going to be in Spade Adam for?
6 months.
6 months. So you did say that. And then where can you go then after that? Can you decide again or?
So I'm due to be going back to the energy storage team, which is where I started, and that's what I intend to do at the moment. But I get the impression, to be honest, that DNV is a very flexible business, and if I really loved it here, as long as I've done a good enough job, then I'm pretty sure there'd be opportunities.
Pippa was smiling when you said that, Tim, because Pippa was like, well, you're going nowhere. Wouldn't you go here?
You're going nowhere.
Put
the clause in you. Question, when do you come off the grad programme as such? When are you classed as not a graduate anymore?
So the graduate programme, I believe, is 20 months long, approximately. So for me, that would be around the middle of this year, or I think
of this year.
Technically towards the end of the year, when there's the last graduate module.
So then after that, what kind of happens? So, you said, obviously, you've just mentioned about the flexibility and you can kind of do whatever you want, which is great. Is there anything officially that happens? Do you?
Your title changes, so you're no longer got graduate at the front of it. But I think
more
really you just
continue.
Yeah, exactly. You just continue away to, in my case, hopefully become a senior engineer.
Amazing.
But also, as I say, there are just so many opportunities. So DNV is a very large company, and I've got contacts right the way throughout it now. So it's really nice to know that I'm in safe hands, I suppose. As I want to potentially move throughout my career. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's so good, isn't it? That you get almost multiple careers within one organisation, which is incredible. Tim, other thing as well was, and I suppose I should have asked any of you this, about being chartered. Are you thinking about being chartered? Are you doing that kind of stuff? Brilliant. Yes, that's great. And you get that support.
There is support for it, absolutely. Yeah, they're very encouraging of it. There's a bonus when you get chartered, etc.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's really, really good. Pippa, I'm going to come to you. Last but absolutely not least, I smile every time I see your face because I'm just, again, looking forward to hearing about your journey. So, like I said at the beginning, you were on the webinar last year. Had you just started at DNV? Was your first?
Yeah, I think I'd started a couple of months before the webinar last year, so I was very new.
Yeah, so tell us, what is the degree apprenticeship like? What have you been up to then this year?
So I'm doing a degree apprenticeship in ordnance, munitions and explosives engineering. So very exciting as it sounds. So I go down to university down in Wales for 2 week blocks every 6 weeks roughly. So just before Christmas, I was down there for 2 weeks. I've got exams at the minute, and then I'll be back again in February for 2 weeks. So it's quite a good split. It means you never get too bored of work, you never get too bored of uni. You kind of, whenever you're
Yeah.
kind of getting bored of one or the other, you usually end up getting sent to the other one. You're like, oh, nice break.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is quite good. So yeah, so I've been doing a lot more since I last seen you. I'm now helping out a lot more with the explosive trials and helping run jet fire tests now as well, which are just a massive fire on testing different materials for different customers. So yeah, it's definitely interesting.
And personally, Pippa, how do you feel as though, if you were to kind of do a bit of a self-assessment, how do you feel as though you've grown individually in terms of being maybe more confident, more confident in the work that you're doing within your team? Do you feel as though you've grown and you're doing things now which you never imagined you'd do?
Yeah, definitely. Because I remember when I first joined, I was probably slightly less confident than I am now, and I was working within the explosives team, and I was more just kind of observing them. But then after a few months, you kind of get more used to being like, oh, can I give you a hand with that instead of just watching you do it? And then they're like, yeah, definitely get yourself involved, get yourself down. So you go
Yeah.
down with them, and then it starts to beam to the point where they just kind of expect you to go with them. They're like, oh yeah, you love it. You can just come down with us. I'm like, oh, brilliant. I'll meet you down there then. So you go
Yeah.
down, you go do a few explosions in your afternoon, brilliant afternoon, and then it just gets to the point where just an afternoon, you're like, should we just go again? Yeah, oh, yeah, let's go down to the other end of site, do a couple of explosions. But it's great. I've definitely built my confidence a lot, and you just feel so much more comfortable in your role when you're like comfortable with everybody around you, and you get to do it frequently. You're like, yeah, this is what I want to do.
Yeah. So do you get to work with the same team then, pretty much? So you kind of your day to day, are you with the same group of people? Or is it still
Uh,
quite flexible? You could be with a different person on a different day.
the explosives team on site is quite small. It's
Okay.
restricted to only about 3 or 4 people that actually handle the explosives themselves. But then because there's only a few of us, we then work with the scientists and engineers. So like I might be in a team with Tim at some point, and he'll be the engineer in the team, and then I might be the explosive person that comes in to the team to then do the explosive part of it. So
Yeah.
when we're just doing explosive work, there's parts which are just explosives. We're just working as a little team together, and it's great because we're all like really good friends. But then I'm also really good friends with everybody in the office. So then sometimes I'll be branch out with the scientists and engineers and be with them instead. So yes, in a small team, but also branching into the teams as well.
Yeah. And again, it's just, oh, so exciting. So, Pippa, in terms of academically, how would
Yeah.
you find the split as well, being able to do your academic work as well as do a full-time job? How would you find that split and
Um,
managing
I
yourself?
find it really helpful almost because a lot of the first year that I did of university was very like the basics of everything. So we did like basic maths, basic physics, basic chemistry, and I
Yeah.
kind of brought me up to speed with some of the scientists that I was working with. Because sometimes they start talking about really technical stuff. I'm like, I know roughly where you are, but I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah.
So that helps you understand them. And then now in my second year, I'm doing more applied modules, which are really helping with my actual explosives that I'm doing with the explosives team. So I'd almost say they really complement each other really well because everybody does try to start you off really slowly, especially in a degree apprenticeship. They're very aware that you've not been to university yet. You're still like fresh out of school. They all
Mm.
basically do like, yeah, just you're just still a little kid doing the work. I'm like, yeah, basically. Um, so yeah, so they all kind of at work they've been really good at starting me off at the same level of my university course, and then as that's progressed, I've progressed in the workplace as well. So they've kind of really like complemented each other well.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like it has. And you, by the sounds of it, just do not feel like you're disadvantaged in any way by,
No, I wouldn't
doing
say
it.
so. No, it's
No.
great.
Yeah, perfect. Well done, you. Um, Next I want to talk a bit about, what do I want to talk a bit about?
I don't know about projects, Jess. Do you think that
Yeah.
would kind of good to any projects, highlights, things like that? I think that'd be good.
Yes. So I'm going to probably split this up because I'm conscious for time as well. So, Emma, I'll come back to you. No, Charlotte, sorry, I'll come back to you. Tell me a bit about the projects maybe that you've been involved in. I'll come to you next, Emma, on that, and then we'll split next and do a bit about culture after that. So, Charlotte, projects, if that's okay.
Sure, of course. Like Steve said, I actually didn't know about this when I was applying, but I've actually gotten a lot of exposure
Okay.
to many types of projects. And as I've said, I've studied civil engineering. So usually in a lot of civil engineering companies, the construction takes ages. It's like sometimes 5 years, 6 years. So that's kind of what I was expecting. And in the span of 4 months, I've seen various different offshore wind projects. I've seen various different foundations, and especially because this is one of the reasons why I wanted to go into wind, especially because it's offshore wind is a relatively new topic. A lot of projects that are relatively old now were tests. They were trying to see if this would work. Can they apply it to the industry? And so some of the projects that I've worked on, for example, there's an offshore one that's a gravity-based foundation. You normally wouldn't have gravity-based foundations for an offshore wind turbine. That's
Okay.
concrete. Like it's not, it makes it longer basically. And it's been really nice kind of being exposed to this different designs and then, you know, seeing it at different life stages as well. So you can see
Yeah,
like
that's
what
fun.
kind of errors have happened, what they've learned, and all of these have been very interesting. I've also looked at like kind of, um, like I said, some owners engineering. So that's currently what's happening. And then the contractor kind of goes, oh, so like this is what we've done. And then we go, have you checked this? Or I look at drawings, and we have to ask questions such as like, have you considered this risk? Things like that. And then again, a bit about solar, but before I actually wasn't really interested in solar in a specific context. Like I'm civil background, that's more electrical.
Yeah.
But one of the civil engineers in the company sent me a document to read through and kind of like ingest. And basically, again, because renewable energy is a relatively new topic, there aren't a lot of design guidelines in all of it. And it was kind of a document on how we interpret the Eurocodes, which civil engineers will know those are building regulations and design regulations used in
Okay. Yeah.
Europe and UK, and how we interpret that and can apply it to kind of solar panels, which was very interesting to me. And because obviously those Eurocodes are written on buildings, which are completely different to solar panels. So that's kind of what I've been working on.
Again, you've mentioned loads of things there. You know, lifespan
Yeah.
of a project. Again, you maybe
Yeah.
wouldn't get that exposure if you wasn't at DNV. And again,
Yeah.
the skills that you can fall back on really is a bit of a safety net for you as a civil engineer is incredible, isn't it? Because again, it opens you up to different areas, which with solar, you wasn't sure if that was something you would be interested in. But now, you know, you can
Yes,
work in that area confidently and maybe even
definitely.
think I could pursue a career in that.
Yeah, I think also in uni, when you're studying civil engineering, renewables isn't really promoted to you as much as mechanical and aerospace engineers, but there's a lot for us to still do there. And actually, I'd say not enough, especially in DMV, there's mechanical and aerospace engineers outnumber civil
Yeah.
engineers in the renewables department. Like there's always work for someone with a civil background.
Yeah.
So, like you said, it's really interesting that I can like kind of see things
Yeah.
from a different kind of view. But then again, like for example, turbine engineering, there's usually a lot of mechanical and aero background people. And they also, like, I haven't been involved with this side, but I actually want to be involved more, where they do more coding and software developing for those
Okay.
wind turbine projects that I was talking about. And they kind
Oh,
of,
that'd be
there's, for
good.
example, the site suitability tool. So, you know,
Yeah.
you get to work with Python and MATLAB. So, yeah, that's kind of interesting as well.
Wow. Imagine your skill set at the end of this grad program. Absolutely amazing. Emma, I'm going to come to you, slightly different question than projects, but just to talk a little bit about the kind of the culture and the kind of things that you've been up to, in terms of the social aspect and how you've juggled it all as well yourself.
Yeah, so everyone in the office is really nice and we all get along. I think in the office, just on a daily basis, we go for loads of coffee breaks throughout the day, which is really nice because you get to know those who are more senior to you and those who came in as grads as well. So there's a whole range of people that you get to talk to.
Yeah.
As well, we have a social team in Loughborough, so we end up doing quite a lot of events. Like there's just been a pool tournament in the kitchen that you can
Okay.
sign up to, and that's gone on for a few weeks. And then every week we go for like a pub quiz. There's a group of us that do that. A few weeks ago, someone got a puppy, and we went for a walk with the puppy as a social, like with our whole department. So that was really nice. And as well, it's just been Christmas. We've had like a Christmas meal, a Christmas party. I think in the summer there's like a summer barbecue as well. So it's really quite social.
Yeah.
And because there's such a range of people, there's something for everyone. I know there's a craft group, and there's people that do puzzles. We've always got puzzles and things in the kitchen, so we're not bored.
Yeah, no,
plenty
busy.
of things to do. Yeah,
Doing your day job and all the fun stuff as well.
exactly. It's great.
Sounds like a dream.
Yeah, and it means everyone gets to know everyone, so it's not daunting coming in, because having those breaks throughout your workday means that because you've just talked with them in the kitchen, you're free to go and ask them a question about your work, which makes your projects a lot easier because you're not as scared to talk to someone that might look really senior.
Yeah. And it go back to your top tip, really, Lizzie, doesn't it? Because, that's what you said as well, wasn't it? Get yourself out there, go into the office. It's easy to hide away.
Yeah,
Don't do that.
I absolutely agree with Emma. Because everyone's so welcoming, even just having lunch or having a coffee, it makes it so much easier to then ask all those questions.
Yeah, perfect
I
advice.
actually would love to add on to that. DNV has like this thing called mystery coffee, where you get to meet with not just people in your office. You can refine it however you want, but it matches you up with people in the company, and that's the whole company. So I've met people from like our India offices or Brazil offices and US offices, and it really helps you understand like what DNV does, because it's hard to grasp it when you first start. It's such a huge company. And like Emma and Lizzie said, it kind of breaks the barrier between senior and like graduate members, because you get matched up with head of section, head of department. I think someone had mentioned like a story where they met like their new head of department in a mystery coffee.
Oh, really?
But yeah, basically it's a great experience, I'd say.
Yeah, great to network. Again, putting you in those situations where you got to ask those questions and keep the conversation going, which we could do here all afternoon. But fortunately, I'm going to have to hand back to Carla.
We're not allowed because we've only got a certain period of time. But Stephen.
Hello.
Hello, love. You all right?
It's the longest I've been quiet.
I know. I saw you smiling and nodding away. Tell everybody about the recruitment process that students and graduates will go through when they decide to apply to your amazing opportunities.
Yeah, so I think if anyone's watched any of our previous ones, our processes are still the same. But I think just in summary, we try to make our processes, I think, just a little bit more human, I think is what I would say. And we want them to be as fair and as transparent as we possibly can. So what we try to do is to match people to specific opportunities rather than to our organisation as a whole, because as you've heard from our graduates and degree apprentices in Pippa, we want people who are passionate about what they're coming in to do.
Yeah.
And we want to develop that expertise because that's what our clients ultimately pay for. So we want people who feel as though they're applying to something that they've got a real interest in. So we advertise individual roles rather than just you apply to a generic program. You can apply, unlike some companies, you can apply to as many opportunities as you want, but they have got very specific and very explicit criteria, which you can see as you apply. When candidates apply, they just get asked to answer a few very basic questions. So a lot of it is just confirming what degree subject or what academics they've got. It might be confirming they understand where the role is going to be based, if it's a placement role, when it's due to start, how long it's due to be for, just to make sure that they're very aware of what our expectations are. And we want people to be based in locations where they can get that support that I think Lizzie specifically talked about, around having people who will be around them in the office to support them, get them involved. So they have a really meaningful experience. So that is certainly really important to us. So they answer those questions. If you meet our initial criteria, we put candidates through some online assessments via a company called Arctic Shores. We're not the only people who work with Arctic Shores. They're really fantastic, do game-based assessments to really understand some of those underpinning skill enablers that people have that help them to succeed. And we select ones that we think are most suited to a specific role to help us prioritize candidates we think appear to be the closest fit, and we can make a whole host of adjustments for those. We don't ask for people to submit CVs or cover letters for our roles, which is a bit different to some organisations. We don't ask for previous experience. So we don't think we need to ask you to send a CV or cover letter in. We just think having those, it brings all kinds of subjective pieces in. So just apply to it and we'll ask the things that we need to do. When we've identified which candidates we think are the most suited, for placement roles, we tend to move straight to interview stage. For our graduate and apprenticeship roles, we will probably do some online briefings that help explain in a bit more detail what these roles really entail, so that they get to hear about our roles from team leads, other graduates, other apprentices, regardless of what it is, to understand, is this what I thought the role was and what I'm really keen to do. And those candidates who attend those, if they're still interested, we then invite a number of those to our assessment days. Usually they're done virtually, half days, so interviews, group activities, but also a chance to meet up with members of the team that they'd be most close to. So future buddies, mentors, etc., to get a real feel for whether this is the opportunity that they want. And we want that to feel genuinely two-way. So those are what we tend to do for our apprenticeship roles, especially at Spade Adam, because of the unique nature of the site. We will often do those in person at Spade Adam. We think the location is something that's either going to really excite you or turn you off, compared to some of our other ones. So that's our process. It tends to be from closing date of our adverts through to the offer stage, probably about 7 weeks. So it's pretty quick, and we hope it works for people and gives them a real feel as though they can understand a lot more about the role.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously it works. Look at the guys on the webinar today. They've gone through the process, they've enjoyed it, and they're still here with all these amazing stories. So Steve, you have looked at numerous applications through the few years that you've been doing this. Any hints and tips that you would like to share with the audience? How can they be successful?
Yeah, so because we're slightly different, we don't ask for CVs or cover letters. I think sometimes organisations will talk about how to tailor your CV. I think with the advent of AI, I think some of that has changed a little. But I think for me, they're probably similar 3 to I gave last year in terms of tips. So number 1 is around preparation. At all stages in the process, I think just having people who are prepared. I think Charla talked a little bit about doing that research into the organisation. What do they do? Why might this be suitable for me? Because you do need to invest time into a process to stand out. So I think, pick your battles, make sure the things that you're investing time in, it's because you're genuinely interested. So do a little bit of that research. And that links into when they come for interview as well. You'll be amazed how many candidates aren't able to articulate some of the basic stuff that DNV does. And seeing as we're full of individuals who are passionate about what DNV does, that's a real turn-off for us if you can't demonstrate that. I think the second and overriding one, though, is around being yourself. We want our entire process is all about trying to understand the real you. What makes you tick? What are you passionate about? What are you interested in? To make sure that what you're coming in to do mirrors that. If not, you're probably not going to want to do it very long. So, so we want to make sure that we align that. So we want people to be themselves. So a lot of the support we provide throughout the process is about helping people understand what the role is, what we will be doing, how we'll be assessing them, so they can relax a bit more and there's less daunting feel to it. But also when they get to the interview stage and they really start to engage with us, we want them to tell us what they think. We want to find out about how they would approach things, how their brain works. It's the individuals that make things work. We don't want textbook answers. Sometimes, especially now AI is coming into it a lot more, we love the use of AI. We use AI in our day-to-day work, but we want it to be part of how people prepare. We don't want to come with textbook answers and not actually get to see the real person that underpins them. And then the very final point, and I mention it every time, but it is really, really critical, is we want our processes to be fair and accessible to all. So we really encourage at every step of the process, if people need support, they need adjustments, they're just anxious maybe about what it entails. We want them to feel as though they can reach out to us, and we do everything in our power to make our processes as inclusive as possible, because we want to encourage people from a wide range of backgrounds and experiences to be able to come on board and join us. So, so I guess those are the three main things I would say that I would ask people to do: prepare, be yourself, and ask for help if you need it.
Lovely. And on the last point there, Steve, you're part of the process all the way through, aren't you?
Yeah.
And you know, we have had jokes and everything else, but Steve is a genuinely lovely, lovely person. And you are so passionate about early careers and everything else. So yeah, please do. If you do need any further help, assistance, or whatever, just feel free to reach out to Steve, and he will be there for you. And you don't have to pay me
To my eye,
later.
that did.
I was actually being genuine then, but I knew we'd have to
Can you
say
make
something.
sure that she doesn't edit that bit out?
Yeah. Keep
be
that bit in.
That'll be a snippet, don't you worry.
Only everyone could see what happened just before we went live.
He didn't give me any money. So thank you very much for that, Steve. And talking about passion and everything else, I am going to end the webinar on the quick fire round about your favourite thing at DNV. So Charla, what is your favourite thing about DNV?
Sorry. Okay, my favorite thing in general is the people, but I'll give a specific example.
Yeah.
Every 2 weeks in the London office, we do a potluck. So a theme is determined, and everyone brings food to lunch, depending on what the theme is. Some stuff we've had is like Christmas stuffings. We had soup salad sandwich, and then we all bring it in, we all share it, and we all eat together in lunch.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm starving. I needed it today. Thank you, Charla. That sounds amazing. Emma?
I think mine is if you have a real interest in wanting to do something, if you mention it to someone, they'll try and get you on that type of project.
Yeah, love it, love it. Food projects. Kelly? I'm excited about yours. You can say Bats.
No, actually, it's the ecology team. They're brilliant, every single one of them. I wouldn't have come back if I didn't love them as much as I do. They've so much experience, and I've never had a problem that at least one member of the team couldn't fix. So it's great.
Perfect. Amazing. Thank you, Kelly. Lizzie?
I would also have to say the people working with my team. I'm with Charla in the London office, and the graduates, we all hang out. Everyone hangs out at lunchtime. There's badminton, football, and netball that goes on as well. It's just, it's really, really nice.
Yeah, good. Makes it worthwhile. You're at work a long time, so good. I'm glad that you enjoyed it, Lizzie. And Tim?
I was going to say the people as well, because I've been to London, Bristol, Glasgow, Aberdeen, Spade Adam, Oslo, and everywhere. Everyone's been really welcoming. But actually, I'll change my answer to the values of DNV, because honestly, the values align very closely with what I believe is moral and correct, and to safeguard life, people, and the environment is something that's really important, and everyone cares about an awful lot.
Yeah, very proud to be part of it as well, Tim. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Pippa?
I was also going to say the people, but I've changed my answer as well. To just the variety of work, every day, for me, sometimes does not look the same as the day before, and you just get to experience so much stuff here that you can always just get out and see something new, and it's just really exciting every day.
Fantastic, lovely. Thank you, Pippa. And as always,
Hey.
you're not on the list. No, because you're going to say sweetheart, because you're going to say me.
Well, no, I'll say something different then in that case. I was going to say you. But I think what is lovely, and I'm sure a lot of organisations say this as well, but I think that what is lovely is the fact that most people instinctively said people, and that's really important, because that's what we recruit for. We can train people's skills and build that experience by putting them on these amazing projects. But we need people who've got initiative, proactivity, that passion, that curiosity, those abilities to take ownership for stuff, their careers, projects, situations, whatever it might be. And I think that is so important. That's why these are the people who are going to succeed in our organisation. And that's what we want to bring through every year. But the one thing I was going to say is that we do live our values, as Tim was talking about. we've just set up, and you can have a look on LinkedIn, but we've just set up a foundation in Norway where we've just invested 2 billion NOK to support scientific research into the energy transition. We don't just talk the talk, we actually walk it as well. So this is trying to drive that investment to try to really accelerate the energy transition for the benefit of everybody, not just our organisation, but actually outside of our organisation. So I think those values and our people are what make us special and different to a lot of organisations out there. And so thank you for hosting us and giving us a chance to showcase that.
Our pleasure.
Jess.
Our pleasure, Steve.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going. I resign. Lovely. Thank you very much for that, Steve. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Like we just mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, the DNV rules will be live soon. So go to their hub on Gradcracker, give them a follow, and be the first to be alerted to those amazing opportunities. If you come back to Gradcracker tomorrow, we will break this webinar down into bite-sized chunks as well, so you can listen to the whole webinar again, or just those chunks of really good insights that everybody's given us as part of today's session. So again, thank you for joining us. Good luck with your applications if you do decide to put an application into DNV. Hopefully this time next year you'll be sat on this panel. You could be, yeah. If Steve actually puts some jobs out there. And thanks, Kelly. And join, we're having a break next week, but Sophie and Jessica will be back on the 22nd of January, where we are joined by CERN. But today it's all about DNV. Thank you, everybody. See you soon.
Absolutely.
Happy New Year.
Thanks, guys. Well done.
Bye bye.
See you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.